Godzilla is a series that's been around since 1954. Since then, there have been over 30 Godzilla releases between the United States and Japan. Some of these films would be very memorable, while some not so much. But what about the Godzilla films that were never seen? The ones that were either not finished or never even entered post-production? This video will talk about 5 of the most obscure Godzilla films that could have been classics, but however, due to the idea simply being too strange or just not being finished due to licensing rights. These are 5 unmade Godzilla films never seen. Batman vs. Godzilla is a film originally intended to be created by Toho and Greenway Productions. It would have seen iconic Batman actor Adam West taking on the titular beast. With the success of Kong vs. Godzilla, producers would want to try and capitalize on another epic crossover for fans to sink their lizard teeth into. The new Godzilla films being made at the time were way more lighthearted and comedic, so producers thought that somehow they could work Batman vs. Godzilla. 2 key Batman characters were to be included other than Batman, being Commissioner Gordon and Robin. Godzilla also would have been mind-controlled, meaning that a Batman villain may have been in the film as well. Out of all the crossover films you could make with Godzilla, this one has to be the strangest. If that wasn't bad enough, a weather-controlling machine would also have been thrown into the mix. According to Sekizawa's drafts, Batman would have used many vehicles in the film against Godzilla, such as the Batmobile, the Batcopter, and more. Personally, I don't think Batman could have even thrown the entire Wayne Manor at Godzilla, and even put a dent into taking on the monster. Some ideas from the script would be reworked in the later Godzilla films, such as the weather machine being used in Son of Godzilla. When Godzilla was announced in 1998, fans were overjoyed with anticipation to see what America could do for a Godzilla film. The budget was higher than ever before, CGI was still popular and exciting, and the thought of seeing the titular monster on the big screen crushing buildings and cars would turn into a mega event. Due to the overindulgent hype train created by the marketing team for Godzilla 98, Sony would plan 2 direct sequels to the film. After failing at making a Godzilla film in 1994, see this later in the video, they brought in Roland Emmerich of Independence Day fame. A writer known as Dean Devlin would pen the script for Godzilla 1998, still intending on making it an epic trilogy of films. While Godzilla 98 made back 3 times its budget, the film would be crucified by fans as legitimately being one of the worst movies ever made. Plans for Godzilla 2 would continue, with plans of pre-production shortly thereafter. However, fan backlash would be so bad for Godzilla 98 that even though the film made back 3 times its budget, Godzilla 2 would be cancelled by Sony, who would eventually go on to lose the rights in 2003. The film's script was said to be quite similar to Godzilla 2014, with Godzilla being an apex predator whom takes on monstrous insects. If you want to see ideas that could have potentially been used in the film, see Godzilla the Series, an animated series produced as a sort of sequel to the Godzilla 98 film. Godzilla vs. Mechanicong is a movie about a giant robot gorilla designed specifically to destroy Godzilla. The machine would comprise of humans working the mechanics of the beast, kinda similar to Pacific Rim. Monkey or not, it seems like a good idea though, and I'm surprised humans haven't built machines before to battle Godzilla. Toho originally planned to remake their film King Kong vs. Godzilla under a new title, Godzilla vs. King Kong. Turner Entertainment, who held the rights to Kong, would ask for more money, and Toho would refuse. In the place of King Kong would be Mechanicong. Turner Entertainment would, however, threaten to sue Toho over Mechanicong, being way too similar to King Kong. Back in the day, Turner didn't like it when anything even came close to being like King Kong, even trying to sue Donkey Kong at one point. Toho would be forced to cancel Godzilla vs. Mechanicong, instead working on Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. Elements and ideas from the film would also be used in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 later on. Bride of Godzilla was to be a follow-up to Godzilla Raids Again. The film's script was written by Hideo Unagami, who also wrote The H-Man. It's unknown why the film was cancelled, but after reading the script, it's probably for the best. A mad scientist known as Dr. Shida builds a robot with the likeness of his wife. However, he would also build another robot named Robot Daughter. Robot Daughter would hypothetically be a robotic female version of Godzilla, I think. Robot Daughter would also not be considered the final name of the robot. They just never made it that far into pre-production to give her an actual name. Earlier in the film, the story would consist of Dr. Shida proposing that Godzilla and Argyros are hiding deep in ocean trenches. The mad scientist would venture into the hollow earth to find many Godzillas there, and also a race of beautiful mermaids. Of course, he would fall in love with one of these mermaids. While this is happening, Godzilla, a giant chameleon, and other names that I can't even mention would all appear in Kyushu. Robot Daughter is sent to Japan to defeat the giant chameleon and the other monsters, as well as break in one of the monsters' jaws, before the final showdown with the king of all monsters, Godzilla. After Robot Daughter is unaffected by Godzilla's atomic breath, Godzilla would fall in love with Robot Daughter before presumably making love with the character off screen. Some pretty wild stuff, honestly. Robot Daughter turns out to be a timed hydrogen bomb that would explode, killing Godzilla and wiping out half the ecosystem of the center of the Earth. After obtaining the rights to Godzilla, Sony would plan on releasing a Godzilla film in 1994. The screenplay would reach director Jean Debont after just directing the hit film Speed. Debont wanted an unusual amount of money for the time, for a budget of $120 million for the film. Sony and TriStar would refuse. This would leave America's version of Godzilla in development hell for around 4 years. After pitching the film to director Roland Emmerich, who would go on to direct the atrocious Godzilla 98. Some plot would however be used from the 94 version of the film, leading to Elliot and Rossio being featured in the credits of the final version. The proposed villain of the film would be known as Gryphon, with there actually being concept art worked on the film. The plot of the film was as follows. In the icy waters of Alaska, a salvage ship dumped there by the Soviet Union during the Cold War would contain barrels of what would appear to be blood. However, after analyzing the containers, it would appear to be nothing more than amniotic fluid. Scientists would discover Godzilla hiding out in the cavern where the supposed blood was oozing from. Godzilla reawakens and unintentionally kills most of them. Godzilla then attacks the Japanese Kurila Islands as a surviving fisherman calls out to the monster, Godzilla, recognizing him from Japanese legend. 12 years later, cryptozoologist Aaron Vout and his assistant Marty sneak into a mental hospital to interview the fisherman who saw Godzilla that night, as the man shows them a drawing of Godzilla going to war with another beast. The military would then arrive and apprehend Aaron and Marty. Later on in the film, Godzilla would eventually come back swimming towards San Francisco as military would wait on his arrival. Godzilla would take out the military as they consider using a small nuclear device to destroy the monster. The liquid ooze thought to be blood would later be found out to be a liquid tranquilizer that keeps Godzilla asleep. The military would spread said liquid at the mouth of San Francisco Bay as Godzilla clumsily swims into it. Godzilla would then be put to sleep by the military as they secure him. Earlier in the film, one of the main characters is stricken in the neck by a creature known as a phobe bat. These creatures have a 12-foot wingspan and were created by radioactive liquid metal. Said character that was bitten by the bat is now on his deathbed as he tells the other main character that he's been taken over by an ancient force. He lays there on his deathbed as his eyes are now pitch black and all of his organs failing. The force inside tells him the history and the threat that is coming to Earth, an alien invasion. These creatures want to consume life and create a doomsday beast to destroy everything. An ancient Earth civilization warded off these threats back in the day, creating Godzilla from dinosaur genes. It was said in ancient texts that it's Godzilla's destiny to reawaken when the time is right and destroy the probes and save Earth once and for all. Unfortunately, the military has put Godzilla to sleep, rendering him useless. Vout, upon hearing Kinoshida's story, figures out that Godzilla was headed for Kentucky where the meteor had crashed. This is when the two main characters put on scuba gear and find a tunnel underwater where they find this giant paw of a beast. One of the men's scuba tanks accidentally bumps into a rock, awakening the beast as it chases them in an underwater chase scene before emerging from the water flying away. Godzilla himself would then reawaken from his military-induced slumber and take on the Griffin, eventually defeating him once and for all. I think it goes without saying that this story is obviously way better than the film we got in 1998. There's no dumb eggs and dumb baby Godzillas, and more importantly, there's no Matthew Broderick. If you're interested in hearing more about Godzilla 94, the movie we almost got, a graphic novel adaptation of the film, illustrated by Todd Tennant, was released online for free on Thanksgiving in 2018. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more videos about Lost Godzilla films, or other Lost films in general, make sure to subscribe to the Cobrism channel, and don't forget to ring that bell.